Inshallah, hopefully or not, everyone can please get seated and we'll start the program. Also,
صلوات على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هل أتى على الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا إنا خلقنا الإنسان من نطفة أمشاج نبتليه فجعلناه سميعا بصيرا إنا هديناه السبيل إما شاكرا وإما كفورا إنا أعتدنا للكافرين سلاسلا وأغلالا وسعيرا إن الأبرار يشربون من كأس كان مزاجها كافورا عينا يشرب بها عباد الله يفجرونها تفجيرا يوفون بالنذر ويخافون يوما كان شره مستطيرا ويطعمون الطعام على حبه مسكينا ويتيما وأسيرا إنما نطعمكم لوجه الله لا نريد منكم جزاء ولا شكورا إنا نخاف من ربنا يوما عبوسا قمطريرا فوقاهم الله شر ذلك اليوم ولقاهم نضرة وسرورا وجزاهم بما صبروا جنة وحريرا متكئين فيها على الأرائك لا يرون فيها شمسا ولا زمهريرا ودانية عليهم ظلالها وذللت قطوفها تذليلا ويطاف عليهم بآنية من فضة وأكواب كانت قواريرا من فضة قدروها تقديرا ويسقون فيها كأسا كان مزاجها زنجبيلا عينا فيها تسمى سلسبيلا ويطوف عليهم ولدان مخلدون إذا رأيتهم حسبتهم لؤلؤا منثورا وإذا رأيت ثم رأيت نعيما وملكا كبيرا عاليهم ثياب سندس خضر واستبرق وحلوا أساور من فضة وسقاهم ربهم شرابا طهورا إن هذا كان لكم جزاء وكان سعيكم مشكورا إنا نحن نزلنا عليك القرآن تنزيلا فاصبر لحكم ربك ولا تطع منهم آثما أو كفورا واذكر اسم ربك بكرة وأصيلا ومن الليل فاسجد له وسبحه ليلا طويلا إن هؤلاء يحبون العاجلة ويذرون وراءهم يوما ثقيلا نحن خلقناهم وشددنا أسرهم وإذا شئنا بدلنا أمثالهم تبديلا إن هذه تذكرة فمن شاء اتخذ إلى ربه سبيلا وما تشاءون إلا أن يشاء الله إن الله كان عليما حكيما يدخل من يشاء فيه رحمته والظالمين أعد لهم عذابا أليما صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Now, students are having in a time where I think I have to say something. Also,
Assalamu alaikum. And we just like to say thank you for everyone, especially for Maulana. It's the last day. May Allah bless him, his family. He spent their time with us, mashallah. And it was very, very good to everybody. So happy and mashallah, he did very good lectures. And also, as may Allah give to the Shifa for his mother who was sick yesterday. And inshallah. And also, I just like to say thank you about our chief guest, also Mark McKinney, who helped us out in the center from the beginning, mashallah. And he did a great job to come all the time and help me and Assam whenever we need any help and ask anything, opinions, and always Mark McKinney always with us. Thank you very much for Mark to come here. I really appreciate it for your hard work. And if you have any feedbacks to say anything about community, we can most welcome to say something. You can come forward here. Mark, please, Mark, please, please. He is the general manager of the Sintas Uniform Company. You all knows about it.
I just want to say thank you for letting me come here and spend time with you guys. It's a beautiful place you have, and I hope it's something that that y'all use for coming here and having a community center, as y'all say it is. It's a neat thing. And I've talked to Dr. Islam. It's just it's neat to have someone like me who doesn't know everything about your religion feel welcome to come here and talk to you. And Hassan, you've done a beautiful thing, and I'm sure all these people are glad to be able to have a place to come. So thank you for letting me hang out with you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. So I like to request Maulana please to come forward to the lectures.
Ya Muhammad Mustafa salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wajjal. Salawat. Allahumma salli ala
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. In the name of God, the most merciful, the most compassionate. May the blessings and the praise of God be upon all of His messengers, His prophets, that He sent to enlighten us and guide us and show us the right path. And upon the seal of the messengers, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And his family, his progeny, and all those who follow him. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يوم لا ينفع مال ولا بنون إلا من أتى الله بقلب سليم. God says in His book, on a day, wealth and children are not going to help anymore. On that day, the day of judgment, what is going to help you and aid you is the legacy you leave behind in this life. What is the legacy that we must leave behind? First of all, my friends, this pandemic made us realize that death may come at a surprise without warning. In the past, people used to think that death is reserved for those who are in their 70s and 80s and 90s. But during the last 18 months, we saw many people died of this virus. They were in their 20s. I have a friend in New York City, who died at the age of 25, young. People in their 30s, 40s, 50s. This is how our journey ends in this life. But death is not the end. Death is only the beginning. Death is a transfer from this lower life, this material life, ephemeral life, into a higher one. It's a transfer. When you transfer at airports, some airports you transfer from one airplane into another. It's a hub. It's a transit lounge. This life is a transit lounge, but it's a big one. It's a big one. We are transiting here, passing through this life, passing. Sometimes it takes, for some people, 10 years. They live here. Some people 20, some people 90, some people maybe exceed 100 years. But at the end, we have to leave. We are not staying. And we have to be prepared. That journey is serious. It's not a joke. Death is serious. If you drive on this road here, you can see several cemeteries. These cemeteries are living museums. They are museums. We learn from them. We learn that we are not staying here. We came into this life for a reason, for a purpose, for a mission. And then we have to leave. And therefore we have to leave a good legacy here. Otherwise we become losers. God says, وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. By this time and by this age, man is in constant loss, except إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. Those who have faith in God, those who have faith in God are strong. They are healthy always. They are always optimistic. They are always forward-looking. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. Those who have faith, strong faith, real faith in God. وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. Faith alone does not work. Just to believe in God, just to believe in Jesus, just to believe in Muhammad, and then I say I'm done. No, you're not done. Faith is followed by what? You have to translate that faith into actions, into good deeds. Good deeds. وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. Good deeds. So we have to make sure that we leave a legacy, and nothing is more important, no legacy is more important than leaving behind good family, and a strong community. Family and community are interrelated. If you want your family to be strong, then you have to build a strong community. If you want your community to be prosperous, affluent, progressive, healthy, strong, you have to build strong family. They are interrelated. We cannot separate our families from our communities. You cannot enjoy your family, having a strong family, in a bad community. In a community that does not have healthcare, does not have education, does not have safety and security, does not have jobs. You can't. You are not separated from the rest of the community. Therefore, we have to build, as we build good homes, good mansions, we buy good cars, good jobs, good income, we have to make sure that also we build good communities. This is one of the places that we need. Community center. We need it here. We thrive here. We grow here. We grow together. We visit each other. We see each other. We help each other. We reach out to each other. This is not less important than your house. This is your second house. For some people, this is their first house. I have a person in my community. He comes from a very wealthy family. You know what he does? After the program, he volunteers. He vacuums. His mother came from a rich Arab country. She saw her son vacuuming. She said, Sayyid, my son back home, he doesn't touch anything. He eats. He doesn't even carry his plate. He doesn't even take his glass to the kitchen. He doesn't do anything. His room is a mess. But here, look how he takes care of the mosque. So I said to him, he said, of course. At home, I have other people who are working. They can fix my room. But here, this is the house of God. I'm working for God. Of course, I disagree with him. He has to fix his room too. Yes. So the young ones do not, think I'm praising him. No. This is our home too. So we have to take care of our community. Building orphanages, building schools, nurseries, senior homes, hospitals, clinics, schools, libraries. These are what we need. I know a wealthy Lebanese man who once said that my father made a fortune in Africa. Hundreds of millions of dollars. Then he came back to Lebanon. His grandfather. So he's purchased lands and ranches and farms and everything, many properties. But among the things that he built was a mosque in the village. In their village, he built a mosque. So he says after his death, all his estate, all his properties are gone except this mosque. Everything was divided over his children, his family members. You don't see anything of his legacy except this mosque. Why? Because he dedicated the mosque for God. And when you dedicate something for God, it remains, stays, doesn't go away. We have to leave a legacy. In this life, you leave something behind. Not just for your family, for your extended family. Everyone in the community, in the neighborhood, is your extended family. You must leave something behind, something that people are going to benefit from. People, not just my kids. My kids are my kids. Definitely we take care of them. But how about others? How about others? There is a mosque in Istanbul, Turkey. Interesting mosque. Check it out on Google. The name of the mosque is something unheard of. The name of that mosque in Turkish means, suppose I ate. What does suppose I ate mean? In Turkish. This is the translation of it. Suppose I ate. The one who built this mosque, he was saving money. He was not a merchant. He was not a businessman. He was not a millionaire. He was not rich. He was just an ordinary person. Every day he goes to the market. He goes to the butcher shop. Rather than buying meat, he says this meat would cost, let's say, $20. So I'm going to save, rather than buying this meat, I'm going to save these $20. He would put them back in his pocket. And he says, suppose I ate this meat. Suppose. Then he goes to the grocery shop. Rather than buying fruits and vegetables, it costs another $20. He will take that $20, put it in his pocket, and he says, suppose I ate this food. Suppose. He kept doing this for 20 years. 20 years. He collected some money. He purchased a land, small land, and he built a mosque with that money that he saved over 20 years. Only him. He didn't borrow any money. He didn't get any money, any help from anyone. He built a mosque, an ordinary person, not wealthy. This mosque is 200 years old. People are going, the man is gone. He's with his God in paradise, definitely in paradise. Generations after him are coming and using this mosque and benefiting and worshipping and learning and thriving with a limited budget. Limited budget. So this means anyone can do it. If we have will, if there is will, there is way. I tell you a story, personal. Usually I don't share personal stories, but because this gathering is personal too, it's not big. Though this camera is spoiling our work. My father, after the collapse of Saddam Hussein, left Los Angeles back to Iraq. It was too dangerous for him because he was anti-Saddam, anti the Ba'ath regime. And everyone, including us, his children, they said to him, Papa, don't go to Iraq. It's dangerous. You are wanted by Saddam Hussein. He didn't care. He boarded the plane. I was in Chicago. My other brother was somewhere else. He asked my sister to take him to the airport. He purchased the ticket at the airport, not before he reached the airport, at the airport. With Air France, he boarded the first flight, LA, Damascus, and then by road he went to Karbala. It was very dangerous. And they tried to kill him. They assassinated him. Now he has bullets, remnants of bullets in his arms and his thigh. But God saved his life. So when he was there, he had a heart attack. Doctors, they called us in LA. They said, listen, if you don't bring your bag to LA, back to America, he's going to die here because there is no hospital, no facility, no care, no medication, nothing. That is 3 months after the collapse of the regime. Saddam collapsed back in April, if you remember, April 9th, 2003. My father had a heart attack in July of 2003. So we said to him, we plead to him, but you have to come. You have to come to LA. So he agreed. Once he touched down in LA, we took him from LAX, the airport, right to the hospital. Immediately, not to home, to hospital. A cardiologist, Muhammad Khan, from Pakistan, examined him. He said, I cannot let you leave the hospital. You have 3 arteries are blocked completely. And it's a miracle that you made it here. They scheduled him for a surgery the following day. While they were taking him to the surgery room, the theater, he was saying something. We were walking with him. I said to him, Baba, what are you saying? He said, I'm making a pledge with God now. If I get out safe from this surgery, I will build a hospital in the city of Karbala. I said, what? Hospital? With what money? You don't have money. But I didn't, of course, tell him. They were taking him to the surgery. I was thinking, my father's, what happened to him? He doesn't have money. Even his home, his property in Iraq has been confiscated by the regime. He doesn't have a place to stay. One of his homes was completely razed to the ground. The other was occupied by still the remnants of the past regime. He didn't have a place to stay. How does he want to build a hospital? What money? So after the surgery was successful, alhamdulillah, 3 bypass. He kept saying, I want to build a hospital. But people, the friends around him, they didn't take him serious. They said, Sayyid, you are a religious scholar. You teach people. You lead the prayers. Your job is not to build a hospital. The hospital is the work of the government. You have to have a lot of money. He said, I don't care. God will bring the money. I made a pledge with God. My city, my people, they need hospital. They don't have hospital. Now he left. The cardiologist was telling him, if you leave before 3 months, you have to stay at least 3 months here to recover. If you leave, because I was going with him, I was taking him to the cardiologist. You are committing suicide. You are going to die, I'm telling you. After only 1 month, can you imagine? 30 days after the surgery, again, he said, I have to go back to Iraq. People are waiting for me. He didn't listen to anyone. He went back to Iraq. He started searching for a land. And he was penniless, no money. The day he arrived in Iraq, he sits on a minbar like this in the shrine of Imam Hussein. Some of you have seen him. Every night when he finishes the prayers, he gives a lecture. He translates the Quran, Tafsir al-Quran, explanation of the Quran. So he broke the news to the people. My mother said, I was not in Iraq, I was in LA. So now, the second part of this movie, you get it from my mother, okay? So when he speaks, there is a curtain like this, but not as tall as this, maybe half of this size, separates men from women side. Men are sitting here, it's packed, the holy shrine, and women are sitting there. So my mother was telling me that your father went, sat on the pulpit, and he said, people, I have news for you. I'm going to build, I made a pledge with God, if he saves my life, and I come out safe and healthy out of this surgery, I'm going to build a hospital. Of course, the people were very joyful, like Hassan Mu'min, Naraya, salawat, they all said salawat. My mother, she says, I was so embarrassed because your father is telling people I'm going to build a hospital. He doesn't have a house. He doesn't have a residence. He doesn't have a room for himself. How can he build a hospital? She said, when he finished, we were going back home, sitting in the car. The driver was driving. with his bodyguards. I said to him, Abu Ali. My father's nickname is because his eldest son is Ali, so they call him in Arabic, in Iraqi, Abu Ali, the father of Ali. I said to him, Abu Ali, what are you doing? He said, what? She said, you are embarrassing us. Where is your money? Which hospital you are talking about? You can't even build a house for yourself. He turned to me and said, listen, I made a pledge with Imam Hussein alayhi salam that I am going to build a hospital in this city. I know I don't have money, but God will send the money. If I have a will, God will help. Everyone was disencouraging him. He was telling him, don't waste your time. This is not your job to build a hospital. And he kept saying, repeating, and I used to see him when I go to Iraq. Every single night he goes to the holy shrine, he sits right before Imam Hussein, his mausoleum, his grave, and he whispers. He speaks something. I can't hear him. I don't know what he's saying. But he's talking 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And then he goes back home. That dream came true. Now the hospital that he built, and it took him 10 years to build, and many people from 70 countries contributed to this hospital. Some of them gave $1, some of them gave $100,000. From all countries, including India, including Pakistan, including some poor countries. They believed in him. They believed in his honesty and his integrity. And so far, the hospital cost more than $60 million. Charity money, money of the people.
Salawat for Maulana's family. Nare Hajri.
Nobody believed. The day I went to the inauguration was March of 2017. Some American physicians from here, from America, I accompanied them. I could not believe that. Is this really a hospital? He did a hospital? Nobody could believe. Nobody could believe. I could not believe my eyes that the hospital has been materialized. Now it is a real hospital. And now it's helping hundreds of thousands of people, including orphans, poor, needy, who do not have money, providing services. You can do it. When you have a strong will, you can do anything. You can do anything. If you are sincere, dedicated, you can do anything. But we need some elements there. One element is honesty. You have to be an honest person. When you make a pledge, you are honest with yourself, you are honest with God. Let me tell you something else too about this hospital. Sometimes I go and visit my father in his room, and my father used to keep the money of donation in his room, in drawers in his room, different currencies, Indian rupees, Saudi riyal, American dollar, Canadian, Australian dollars, whatever, English sterling pound, all sorts of currencies. And then whatever they need for construction, they come and take from him. I'm not bragging about this. I'm telling you the truth. Sometimes my father is in need for his personal need. He needs $50 and he doesn't have. And he has almost $3 million cash next to him. He doesn't touch that. Some people tell him, you can borrow and give. He says, no. Who guarantees that if I borrow the money tonight, I'm going to live until tomorrow to repay? Nobody guarantees. He doesn't touch. He doesn't touch that money while he's in need. And nobody knows about that. And I am speaking about this for the first time in my life. I don't share it with others. I don't know how I became crazy tonight to share it with you. He doesn't touch the money. He was an honest person. He was an honest person, therefore God helped him. If we are honest, God will help us. If we are sincere, God will help us. When we work for God, God is going to work for us. For us. So we have to leave legacies in this life. Some people are rich, very rich. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, that some people who did not, they were able, they were rich, they were wealthy, they were able to work for mankind, for their communities, for their countries, for their societies, for the poor people, but they didn't do. Their departure, the final departure, at the moment of death, is going to be very tormenting and very painful for them. The Prophet uses the term hasra, regret. They're going to regret when they see the angel of death, because we in Islam, we believe that when the time comes, you would see the angel of death. You know you are dying. Even if the doctor standing next to you saying you are safe, you're going to make it. But the angel of death said, no, don't believe in him. I'm here. I'm standing. So people know, maybe an hour before, maybe 1 day before, some people 3 days before, some people 10 minutes, I don't know. It's up to God to decide. We are going to know that we are leaving. But then there is no U-turn. There is no U-turn. God says in his book, in the Quran, حَتَّى إِذَا حَضَرَ أَحَدُهُمُ الْمَوْتِ قَالَ رَبِّ ارْجِعُونَ. When death arrives to one of them, those sinners who did not do good, they say, oh God, they plead to God, oh God, allow me to make a U-turn for 1 week, 2 weeks only, so I can settle my account with you. So I can do what I missed. The answer comes to him from God, Kalla, nay. This is wishful thinking. Because we have given him already 70 years, he didn't do anything. He's going to do things in 1 week or 2 weeks. He's not serious. God would refuse his request, reject his request. When death comes, there is no U-turn, my friends. We have a chance. We've been given this chance. It could be 50 years, could be 70 years, could be 90 years. We have been given the chance. At the time of death, when we see the angel of death, we're going to regret if we have not done something for our families and our communities. Now, sometimes the legacy, the Prophet says, the legacy is knowledge. A scholar, professor, philosopher, theologian, teacher leaves a scientific, theological, intellectual legacy, books. He has written books, he has lectures, he has students. This is a good legacy. Knowledge is the best legacy. Sometimes the legacy are children. He doesn't have knowledge, or maybe he has knowledge, she has knowledge, but also they raised good children. The Prophet said, if you raise one single righteous, one single, but you don't have to be 10 or 20, one daughter or son, they're going to be your asset after your departure. One day Jesus was moving with his disciples in Palestine. They passed through a cemetery with his disciples. They passed through a grave. Jesus was hearing noises coming out of that grave. So he said, God, what's happening? God said to him, this is a man, a sinner. He did a lot of violations in his life. He's being interrogated by the FBI. God's FBI, not the Federal Bureau. God's FBI. They are interrogating him. So he felt sorry. Jesus felt sorry for him. He had a chance to do good in this life, but he left without doing good. He did bad rather than doing good. So he left. He came back the following year, after 1 year, with the same company, with the same group, same disciples, passing through the same cemetery. And it was quiet. No noises. Nothing. Quiet. Jesus asked God, God, what happened? This man is quiet. Where did he go? God said he didn't go anywhere. He's there, still there. So why he's silent? God said, we forgive him. How did you forgive him? What did he do? God said, he didn't do anything. But he had a son. This son reached the age of responsibility and maturity. He فَآوَى يَتِيمًا وَأَصْلَحَ طَرِيقًا. He sheltered an orphan, this son, sheltered an orphan in his house, and he paved the way for people in his village. He lived in a village, he just paved the way for people to walk. He did these two kind acts. We decided to forgive the father because of the acts of his son. We forgive the father because of the good deeds of his son. So if you invest your time in your son and your daughter, you are not losing. Don't tell me I'm tired, my kids, I'm exhausted, I'm running after them. It's worth it. This type of investment is very successful, profitable. You raise one, you don't have to raise 10. If one of them comes out righteous, virtuous, responsible, he will be an asset for his parents after their death. The parents are gone, but that son is serving the community. The parents are receiving the credit while they are in their graves. They receive the credit. Waladun salih, waladun salih. Righteous son or daughter. What is the third asset the Prophet says? The third legacy. So the first one was knowledge. The second one was children, progeny. The third one, perpetual charities. Sometimes a charity is not perpetual, temporary. When you feeding homeless, feeding the poor is very good. But they eat the meal and it goes away. But sometimes you build soup kitchen. Soup kitchen? Yes? Is this what they say? Soup kitchen? That is perpetual. Because you always feed them. Or you build an orphanage. This is perpetual. You build a clinic, a library, a school, a house of worship. These are sadaqah jariyah. Sadaqah jariyah is continuous, has continuous revenue. Continuous return, does not stop. Even after we leave. My friends, don't get upset with me if I say this, but this is the reality. 100 years from now, none of us are going to be here in this life. None of us, including this baby, this infant. 100 years from now, I guarantee for you, believe me. We will go. But we have to go to a better place. A better place has a price. You have to earn it, you have to work for it, you have to pay the down payment. Paradise is not free. Someone came to the Prophet, he said to him, "Oh Prophet, pray to God to give me paradise." The Prophet said, "I will pray, but have you done something good in your life?" He said, "No." The Prophet said, "How do you expect me to pray for you? Paradise is not a free." Even me, who's the messenger of God, the Prophet of, I have to work hard. I have to work 24/7, 24/7 to earn paradise. This building will stay here, believe me. We go. Not only this building, all churches, all synagogues, all temples. The founders, the leaders are going to leave. The building stays. But then everyone who comes to worship there, they receive royalty, credit. They receive some percentage of anyone who comes to worship here and learn here and get inspired here, those who paid, whether you paid $10 or $10,000, you receive a revenue, you receive a credit, you receive the reward. So try to build something for people. This should be your legacy. Before you leave, try to do something. Sometimes by yourself, sometimes in partnership with others. Sometimes it's a huge, sometimes it's a small. Yesterday, I read the saying of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Things do not have to be so huge and big, but they have to be based on what? Quality. What is the quality here? Taqwa and ikhlas. In Arabic, we call it ikhlas. Ikhlas means dedication to God. You dedicate to God. And this book, the Quran, is replete with the stories of some people who did work, but God did not accept. The story of Adam and Eve and their kids, Cain and Abel. Both of them offered their offerings, but Cain offered what the best that he had, whereas Abel did not give the goods that he had. He went, whatever was corrupted, he gave it to God. He thought that he's fooling God. God does not see. God does not understand. Sometimes I tell people who bring broken furniture to the Islamic Center and Mosque, I tell them, no, please. Broken furniture, do you accept it in your house? You don't. So don't bring it to the house of God. If something is you don't accept for your house, how do you accept it for the house of God? Either you bring something clean, brand new, beautiful, or give it to, throw it away. Don't even give it to charities. Some people take to goodwill whatever is broken. Well, we give this as a charity. You want to get rid of it. Your intention is not charity. The book says, our book, لن تنالوا البر حتى تنفقوا مما تحبون. You would not attain righteousness until you spend from what you love, not what you don't want, not the surplus and the extra, not the broken goods that you have at home. مما تحبون, from what you love, you share it with others. That is charity. This means dedication for God. We give the best. If you have knowledge, give the best of it. Share the best of it. If you have any type of services, give the best of it. If you have a clothing, you want to give clothing, food, furniture, give the best. This is how we reach righteousness. Because God says when you give, you build yourself. You refine yourself. You are telling yourself, listen, yes, this money is important. These clothing are brand new. I love them. But there are some people who are in need. You are refining yourself, purifying yourself. You are fighting greed. Greed is a very dangerous disease, greed. Fighting greed, telling to yourself that yes, I love money, but then there are some people who are in need to this money. I share it with them. This is how we refine ourselves. Lady Fatima alayhi salam, the daughter of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, on the night of her wedding, Imam Ali brought his shield, armor, to the Prophet. The Prophet said to him, what do you have for marriage? Do you have money? He said, no cash money. What do you have then? He said, I have the sword. The Prophet said, we need the sword because you are defending us. What else? Imam Ali said, the nadih. Nadih is the water container because I work in the farm, so I need to water the palm trees with this water container. So the Prophet said, you need it, you can't sell it because you work with it. What else do you have? He said, my third item is the armor. I use it to defend myself in the battlefield. The Prophet said to him, Ali, I know you very well. You don't need an armor. They cannot even approach you. So sell the armor. He sold it for 480 silver coin. Dirham means silver coin. He brought the money before the Prophet. He said, this is the money that I have for my wedding. The Prophet divided the money into 3 sections. One section, he said, this is furniture for the house of Ali and Fatima. The house means one room. And the Prophet himself built that room. He himself built the room. The second, it's clothing and perfume for the groom and the bride. The third part of it is walima. We have to invite people to the wedding party. So we have to cook food. So we buy food with this. So this is how the bridal wealth was divided. Mahar, we call it mahar, bridal wealth, into 3 sections. So Imam Ali alayhi salam, this is what he had. He had no more than that. No more than that. But then his marriage was the most successful marriage. Why? Because him and his wife, they dedicate themselves to their cause, not to the dunya. There are some people who dedicate themselves only to this dunya, only to this life. They don't see behind this life. All what they see is this life. But there are some people who are far-sighted. They know there is something else after this life. Grave is not the end. Grave is the beginning of the bigger life, everlasting life, permanent life. So they don't care about what happens in this dunya. Even if they live in a small house, they survive on little food, they save the rest for the hereafter. My friends, I wish I can stay with you until morning, but I don't know, are we having some Q&A?
If anybody wants to do any Q&A, so
Let me conclude with a couple of words.
yeah, okay.
So, the message we take home is to build your families. Be the best father, be the best mother. This is the right investment. This is the best investment. You need your children. You need them in this life. You need them in the hereafter. You being a mother, this is jihad. Some people ask us in America, what is jihad? Is it jihad to carry the sword and, just go and fight and bomb and kill? It's not jihad. Jihad is when you struggle with your family, raising children. A mother that is struggling, especially working mothers, who are struggling to raise good children, to feed them well, to feed them physically and intellectually, spiritually. I know how mothers sacrifice because I have 5 kids and I have 2 daughters-in-law. I know how they sacrifice. But this is good for them. They are not losing, they are gaining. They are building themselves and building a strong generation. How do we save America? Only through stimulus checks? Stimulus checks are good. But today America needs those young ones here. Those young ones. Those are the future leaders. America, the future of Islam depends on those people here. So when you raise them well, you are building your community too, your country too. So be patient with them and try to listen to them. And the best type of raising children, the best method is to be friend with your children. I always say to my kids that I am your friend number 1. Before you go to anyone else to complain, come to me. I'm not just a father, biological father, I'm a friend too. We live like friends. If you ask them who's your closest friend, they tell you father and mother. If you ask me who's your closest friend, I tell you Sayyid Hadi and Sayyid Mehdi and Muhammad and Ma and Ali. Those are my closest friends. Friendship, real friendship. Let them have access to you anytime. They should not hesitate or be worried when they talk to their parents. Let's build an atmosphere of mutual trust, openness, transparency, accountability. Let them approach you anytime. They have a problem, they come to you first before they go to a stranger. Some kids, they leave their families. Why? Because they say, my mother doesn't listen to me. My father is absent. Maybe they are right, maybe they are wrong. God knows. But we have to strive to build this mutual trust with our children. Take care of their knowledge, of their school, but knowledge alone does not work, my friends. There are many people who are scholars and knowledgeable, but they are criminals too. They commit crimes. Knowledge by itself and science by itself would not safeguard you against criminality. What else do you need besides knowledge? You need faith. Faith and knowledge. In Islam, we believe in both. They move hand in hand, faith and knowledge. Neither faith alone is going to work without knowledge. It becomes like Taliban, stupid people. They have faith, but they don't have a brain. They don't have reason. Or knowledge again, knowledge and science and education without faith does not work. We need both. They integrate each other. They complement each other. Teach them knowledge, education is important, faith is also important. When they have these two, they are safe. They can build themselves, they can build their families. And again, the second thing, building your family and building your community. The Prophet says, if each and every person of us is a leader. كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته. Every person of you today, every person, including women. Women are leaders. Women are leaders of the community. We cannot function without them. We need them. We need their love. We need their affection. We need their contribution. We need their intelligence. The Prophet sometimes would gather his family and he would consult them. Even though God is revealing to him, God is giving him the direction. God is telling him what to do. But he wanted to teach us that your family is also important. Consult with your family. Don't be a dictator at home. Respect women. Empower women. Our Prophet is a model in respecting and empowering women. Our Prophet. He came to a society, backward society. They disrespected women. They murdered them. They had no right. They had no respect. They were treated less than, like subhuman, like animals. But the Prophet said this is wrong. This is why the closest people to him, his wife Khadija. The closest people to him, his daughter Fatima alayhi salam. The closest people to him, his mother Fatima bint Asad alayhi salam. Lady Aisha was asked one day, who is the closest person to Prophet Muhammad? She said, among women, his daughter Fatima. Among men, her husband Ali. This is the saying of Aisha. Why the Prophet wanted to present an example that if you neglect women, you cannot be successful. They have to play their role. They are the mother of your kids. If we keep them at home, like Taliban, they are asking women to stay at home, don't go to school, don't go to high school. Who's going to raise your children? Who's going to teach them? If the mother is an illiterate, uneducated, can she provide education? She cannot. They are doing exactly opposite to the principles and the teachings of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Exactly opposite. May Allah protect this community. What I love about your community is diversity. Beautiful, there's diversity. Afghanistan, Iran, India, Pakistan, Iraq, Morocco, Syria, South Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia, different countries. This is beautiful. This is life. This is the reality of life. God says we created you into nationalities, colors, so you get together. You enrich each other, integrate each other, not to fight each other, not to discriminate, but to love each other, to respect each other, to learn from each other. Each one of us has something to offer, believe me, each one. How did I become a scholar? Just books? Not just books. My experience with people. I learn from people. When I sit with them, listen to them, debate, I'm learning. I'm increasing my knowledge, my experience. Not just books. Some people read books and read and read and read, and they are done. So you have to listen. You have to learn. Each one of you has something to offer, believe me. Even the young ones, we learn from them. Sometimes I ask them questions. They are intelligent. You can learn from them. You can enrich your experience in this life. We should not overlook anyone. Every person in the community is important. Not only the Muslims, the non-Muslims too. Not only the believers in God, even the non-believers. We should not judge them. This is a freedom of choice. God says on the day of judgment, I am the judge, not you. Maliki yawmiddin. I am the judge of the day of judgment. So we shouldn't judge people. Sometimes people leave religion for some reasons. They are disappointed. We should not say they are infidels, they are bad, they are people of hell. No. God has no spokesperson on earth, believe me. No one can assume the role of being a spokesperson of God. God says, I embrace anyone. Even if you come last minute to me, I am there. God says to Prophet Muhammad, go and tell your community, even those who are mild in sins. They did lots of sins, excessiveness of sins, plenty of sins, 50 years of sins. I'm still ready to receive. I don't shut my door. My door is open. Anytime they want to come, I'm ready to receive them. This is our Lord. It's very merciful Lord. Don't give up on God. Don't give up. I say to people, even those who don't pray, they don't practice Islam. I say one day, if you decide to go back to God, God is there. God is welcoming you. Don't tell me that God is angry with you. No, no, no. God understands you. Sometimes we get frustrated, depressed, especially during these circumstances, pandemic, whatever. But God is there. God, His policy is mercy, not punishment. He created us to bestow mercy and love and affection on us. God bless you all, inshallah. وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين.
Jazakallah. Do we have questions? Yeah, after that. Okay. So let's go to the question answer. Then we're going to have a recite one now. And you want to do whatever. Q&A. Yes. Bismillah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
Hassan, do you have the paper?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Fully.
So, inshallah, this is now. We're going to take a couple of questions from the ladies' side and a couple of questions from here. And we'll see how long this is going to take. Okay. So, start with our ladies. A good question.
Okay, so I've been collecting content from the ladies on the other side. So the first question I had is, I heard a lot of great scholars say that your children should get married when they're young. Isn't it better that the children get married after obtaining a good profession so they can take better care of their families? Because cultural people always ask the question, why is your child still not married, etc. And it puts a lot of pressure on the parents and children. I know that Allah gives the risk, but shouldn't they be professionally ready so they can raise their families?
Let me answer this question. Yeah. This is a very hot question. Yeah. My friends, each era, each time, each community, each culture, each society has its own rules and regulations. Some rules and regulations apply to South Carolina, but they don't apply to California. They don't. Okay? Some rules and regulations apply to America, they don't apply to Canada or Mexico or Europe. Some rules and regulations were excellent 50 years ago, but now they are not good anymore. They are outdated. This is why God kept sending messengers and books one after the other to update his faith. To update his faith, okay? To be compatible with our needs, with the needs of the society. So religion is not obsolete. God keeps refreshing it. Maybe 50 years ago, 70 years ago, 30 years ago, in a village in the Indian subcontinent, Middle East, maybe even America, 50 years ago, marriage at a young age was a good idea. The Catholics would encourage their children to marry early, the Jews, others. But now, life is different. Now, life is demanding. Yes, it's true that God is the sustainer, but God would not send you, as I said last night, He would not send you a basket full of American dollars to your home. He would never do that, believe me. He would not send you free check. He doesn't do that. God says, I'm going to enrich you, provide you, provided that you work. Go to work, work hard, I will sustain you. I will support you. But if you are lazy, depending on your parents, not going to work, not going to school, I'm not going to give you. So marriage at a young age nowadays does not work for most people. Maybe for one or two, maybe. They are different. Because they are different, they are special, they are talented, they are rich. It's not only about money. People think that if I have money, I'm 20 years old, I have money, I'm independent, I can get married. It's not only about money. Marriage requires more than money. Marriage requires maturity, responsibility, commitment. Commitment to another human being. Some people, they cannot commit even to themselves. They cannot help themselves, let alone others. It requires experience. It requires a lot of patience. Do you know now that out of 10 marriages, Google this, in America, 6 of them, they end up in divorce before the first anniversary. Before the first anniversary, 6 of these 10 marriages, they end up in divorce. Why they end up in divorce? Because there's no money? Not because there's no money, but because there's no responsibility, no commitment. They don't have commitment. Either both or one of them do not commit himself or herself to the institution of marriage. Marriage is an institution. You are building an institution. And this institution requires foundations, strong foundations. One of them, commitment, long life commitment. When you marry someone, you are telling her, I'm taking you as my friend, my partner, my soulmate for the rest of my life. Whether we live in richness, poverty, sickness, whatever, I'm your partner. I'm standing with you. Some people don't have that type of commitment. They think marriage is all about sex. It's not about sex. Marriage is friendship. Marriage means, God says in His book, marriage, we bring the soul of the husband, the soul of the wife, we blend them together, we put them back. So you carry part of the soul of your wife. Whatever makes you happy makes your wife happy. Whatever makes your wife sad makes you sad. It's not just sharing the bank account. It's not just sharing the bed. It's sharing your aspirations, your dreams, your life, your success, everything. Some people are not ready for it. They are not mature enough. If they are mature, if the parents think that this boy, this girl is really mature to provide, not just to provide money, to provide psychological help, mental help, emotional help, spiritual help, not just physical, not just bed. It's more into it, more into it. Some people think marriage is, some father says, I want to protect my daughter and my son because I don't want them to get into boyfriend, girlfriend, into, out of wedlock sex. So let's get them married. But they are not ready for it. They are not ready. If they are ready, go for it. but most of them are not ready for it. Let them build themselves. Marriage requires perseverance and patience. You can't just walk away when you quarrel with your wife. I was reading a story in the New York Times today. A man of 23 years old with his fiancée, 22 years old, from Long Island, New York. They went on a cross-country trip to visit national parks. After a few weeks, the man came back to Florida alone without his wife. Where is your wife? She's missing. Where is she missing? He doesn't know. Of course, he's a person of interest now. This is what the FBI says. And they were posting pictures of themselves on Instagram. They were kissing each other, hugging each other. But then he murdered her. Why he murdered her? Because they got into a fight in Wyoming. They called the police. And they confessed, both of them, to the police that we have arguments. We have conflict. Is the solution is to kill your wife or to kill your husband? This is not the solution. You have to be patient. You have to be ready for all sorts of emergencies in your marriage. These emergencies could be depression sometimes, anxiety, fear, poverty, sickness, cancer. Are you willing to stand with that person or not? You walk away. Some people love themselves. They are not ready to sacrifice. They should not get married. Marriage is partnership based on sacrifice, based on commitment, based on honesty, based on trust, based on you say to your wife, I am willing to give my life to defend you. My life, not just my money. Are you ready for it? Many people do not understand the meaning of marriage. So they have to wait until they become mature enough, responsible enough. Okay?
One of the ladies wrote this question.
Okay, the sister says, every day I work. Mark, wait for the spicy food. Don't miss it, Mark. Yeah, spicy food, really. You will not forget it for 1 week at least. This is the last, right? This is the last one?
This is from this.
Yeah.
But it's
Okay.
last double question.
Okay. Or if he wants to go, give him some food, please. Yeah. Thank you. So the lady is saying that I work, I come home, I cook, I spend time with my family, I watch TV and go to bed. The only good act I do is to pray and sometimes recite Quran. As a woman, what can I do to be among the 313 followers of our Imam? What you are doing, you are doing the right thing. God does not overburden you above what you can bear. This is a verse in our book. وَلَا تُحَمِّلْنَا مَا لَا طَاقَةَ لَنَا بِهِ. You are taking care of your family. You are working outside, a breadwinner, coming home, cooking, taking care of your family, taking care of your Lord, praying to Him, reciting His book. What else do you need to do? If you keep these things always, and if you are patient with you, with your husband, with your children, if you are patient with them, that's it. This is what God wants you to do, no more than that. This is the path for success. Commitment. You are working outside, you are working inside the house, and you are with your God. What else He wants you to do? No more than that. This is what He wants us to do.
Any question?
I have a question about the question about fathers. How much is the what you call?
You don't need a microphone, Hassan. Believe me.
I don't know why he coming to me. No, but the ladies. Actually, after married, the daughters having 2 daughters, 2 sons, and then how much is the fathers can divide to the everything proper, like properties or money wise, to the how much is go to the daughters and how much is go to the son. That's the
Yeah. How much we can divide our estate after, it depends, during your lifetime or after death. The percentage is different. If you during your lifetime, any father, any mother, they can give any percentage they want to any of their kids. They can give their entire wealth to one of them. It's up to them. This is their money. But they should not do that. It's not illegal, but it is not advisable because it's going to create rivalry between the children. It's not good. But they have the right. Legally, they have the right. They have the right to say, I divided 25%. I have 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls. Each one gets 25%. Or my wife gets 25%. The rest of them share, equal shares during lifetime. But he has to write that. He has to write it. I'm giving my wealth, distributing my wealth equally among my wife and my kids, whether they are male or female. And this is okay. However, if he had not done that and he dies, then it has to be distributed according to the law. The law in the past, because women did not work, and when women were still daughters, the father is responsible for their financial, needs, the father. Once they get married, who's responsible for them? The husband. 100%. In Islam, we believe the responsibility of sustaining a family falls on the shoulder of the husband. 100%. He pays for his family's education, housing, medication, food, vacation, insurance, transportation. 100%. If he's able. But sometimes he's not able in America. Does not work like that. In this country, life is very demanding, so both have to work. In this country, both have to work. Therefore, the old system does not work here. What is the old system? The old system says, لِلذَّكَرِ مِثْلُ حَظِّ الْأُنْثَيَيْنِ. The male gets the double share of a female. Why? Because this was based on a society back home hundreds of years ago where women did not work and they did not need money because either she's a daughter, so her father would give her, or a wife, the husband is going to give her. But now in this country, they need money. This is why I tell them, go to school, study, work, graduate, get a job, make your own fortune. Do not depend on your husband. Because when you depend on someone, you become his slave. This is what Imam Ali says. احتج إلى من شئت تكن أسيرة. When you are in need to someone, be it a father, be it a husband, be it a brother, be it a friend, you become his asir. His asir means what? His captive. He controls your life because he's sustaining you. And you don't like to be controlled. In some societies, it's okay for them to be controlled. It's okay. This is how it works. 3 days ago, there was a demonstration in Kabul, Afghanistan. University students, female university students, they were covered from head to toe, black dress, and they said, we love this, we enjoy it, leave us alone. America, leave us alone. We love Taliban. They love it. What can you do? You tell them, no, you shouldn't love it? Personal choice. Personal choice. They love to wear like that, to be dressed, to be controlled by men. They love it. They love, even here in America, even here in America, there are some American women, Christian, others, who love to be controlled by men. What do you tell them? Do you go and fight with them? It's a personal choice. But we believe this is not good. This is not good. We have to have our own freedom of choice. Nobody should control anyone. Father should not control his children. The husband does not control his wife. The wife does not control her husband. We have to have the beauty of this life is to be free. I enjoy being in this country because what I say here in this country, I cannot say it back home. I get arrested, believe me, or assassinated. That's it. For me, the most precious thing in life is the freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of expression, freedom of choice. Free. Nobody interferes in my business. Nobody tells me what to say, what not to say. This is not the case back home. This is not the case back home. Now some journalists, they write small article, someone comes with a pistol, it has a silencer, pop, 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 pop. In the news the following day, this journalist is gone. He pays the price for freedom of speech. This is why people are running away from the Middle East, coming to Europe, coming to America. Not because there is no more food or a drink, but there is no more freedom. Freedom is important. This is why I don't like Trump. I don't like it because he was anti-freedom. I don't like him. I like a government that gives me freedom. Freedom of religion, without intimidation, without discrimination, without bias, without racism, that he treats all people equally, does not put some group down and raise another group up. That does not work. That creates a rift in the society, disunity. The beauty of the country is to be united together. Black, white, rich, poor, Christians, Muslims, Jews, they are all united. They respect each other. This is the job of the president, to unite his community. Even if he does not like them or disagrees with them, his job is to unite the country. Unity is important. If we don't have unity, we're going to have civil war. So what I advise people now, that if you want to do justice to your family, go to the attorney, write your will, say, I'm going to divide my wealth now before I die. Because after you die, it's too late. So before you die, write your will. I give this percentage to this one to this one. And then in Islam, you are encouraged to give 1/3 of it to a charity. Local mosque, library, orphanage, clinic, hospital, school, whatever. 1/3 of it. And then distribute the other 2/3. So I hope I answered the question.
One more.
Yes.
Everybody believes a whole lot that namaz qaza. And when we are alive, can we have to do it? Read it for maybe we don't know exactly how many years or how many, but can we pay? Possible to pay it?
You can pay. You can pay. I'll explain the question. The brother says someone missed the prayers during his, youth, whenever, he was traveling or whatever. Now you have to make up these missed prayers. Yes, right? Now, can he, if he cannot, he's too lazy, let's say, or too busy, can he hire someone to do it on his behalf during his lifetime? Yes, in one case. In one case. If he is disabled now, paralyzed, he cannot do the prayers. He's still alive, but he's paralyzed. So he can hire. But if he's not paralyzed, nothing wrong with him, then he or she must do it himself or herself. Now, if he has not done it after death, his family can hire someone to do it on his behalf. Okay?
What's your question? Is there how many Allah Akbar we have in the Salah?
The mandatory only one, but you can say the odd numbers 3 times or 5 times or 7 times or 9 times. But don't do that in South Carolina because you're going to miss your work. Your prayers has to be fast. Yeah. Okay. I love you all. May Allah bless you. It was my honor to spend these 3 nights with you. It's very memorable, and inshallah, I hope I can repeat this trip and see you. And if you ever come to the West Coast, please call me, get in touch. Let's see you there, inshallah. May Allah bless you all. May Allah give the blessings to all of you who built this place, opened this place, and kept it vibrant, dynamic. Keep it always active, And may Allah hasten the reappearance of our last Imam, our Savior, so he comes with Jesus to rebuild this life and to give us hope and energy, inshallah. Thank you so much. وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين.
Brother, you want to the Roma can do it, brother, he's leaving.
Yeah. Oh, he's leaving? Yes. Not staying for food, Mark? No?
कहते थे रंग में सरवर मारा गया बरादर टूटी कमर है मेरी लाशें उठा उठा कर अम्मा मैं थक गया हूँ 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 सहरोज का हूँ प्यासा और हो गया अकेला सहरोज का हूँ प्यासा और हो गया अकेला असगर को दफन करके खुद बन गया हूँ लाशा असगर को दफन करके खुद बन गया हूँ लाशा देखो मेरा मुकद्दर अम्मा मैं थक गया हूँ अम्मा मैं थक गया हूँ अम्मा मैं थक गया हूँ एक खा रही है अब शाम ला रही है एक पेग खा रही है अब शाम ला रही है एक पेग खा रही है अब शाम ला रही है मंसूब फौज आदा अब ये मना रही है मंसूब फौज आदा अब ये मना रही है छीने हरम की चादर अम्मा मैं थक गया हूँ अम्मा मैं थक गया हूँ अम्मा मैं थक गया हूँ मगदर से चुन के लाया हमारे एक लाशा मगदर से चुन के लाया हमारे एक लाशा हाथों पे जिसकी मेहंदी देती थी मुझको फुरसा हाथों पे जिसकी मेहंदी देती थी मुझको फुरसा आंसू बहा बहा कर अम्मा मैं थक गया हूँ अम्मा मैं थक गया हूँ अम्मा मैं थक गया हूँ ऐ अम्मा ये न पूछो क्या हो गया है मुझको अम्मा ये न पूछो क्या हो गया है मुझको तुम खुद ही जख्म अकबर मैदान में आके देखो तुम खुद ही जख्म अकबर मैदान में आके देखो तन्हा मैं रह गया हूँ अम्मा मैं थक गया हूँ अम्मा मैं थक गया हूँ अम्मा मैं थक गया हूँ खुशबू बता रही है आता रही है मन में खुशबू बता रही है आता रही है रंग में मैं कब से ढूंढता था कर दो भला के बन में मैं कब से ढूंढता था कर दो भला के बन में आ जाओ अभी मादर अम्मा मैं थक गया हूँ अम्मा मैं थक गया हूँ अम्मा मैं थक गया हूँ आई सदाए सहरा रेहान करबला से आई सदाए सहरा रेहान करबला से तन्हा नहीं है अब तू इस मातले जफा में तन्हा नहीं है अब तू इस मातले जफा में क्यों कह रहा है दिल भर अम्मा मैं थक गया हूँ अम्मा मैं थक गया हूँ अम्मा मैं थक गया हूँ या हुसैन अरे या अली
Assalamualaikum ya Abdullah, Assalamualaikum Rasulullah, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Assalamualaikum ya Karim al-Ghuraba, Assalamualaikum ya Mu'min al-Dhafa al-Fugura, Assalamualaikum ya Mu'min al-Shiyati wa Zuwaj al-Nizza, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Assalamualaikum ya Sahib Asli wa Zulman, Assalamualaikum ya Khalifa al-Rahman, Assalamualaikum ya Imam Ansi wa Jan, Assalamualaikum ya Ahmad al-Iman, Assalamualaikum ya Imam Azmani na hada ajalla fajaka wa sallallahu alaihi wa sallam. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.